Hello everyone, I wanted to do a commentary track over this video. I would have done it all in one go the first time around, but I was so tired after doing all the work on this particular head sculpt. Did everything in one foul swoop. And by the time, I finished, I just wanted to get this video up just so you could see how I'd done it. But I always intended to do some kind of talking video where I can just go through what I was doing here, just give you any tips. So I did paint the eyes. First time I've ever painted 1/6 scale eyes. That was really, quite scary, but it sounds obvious, but you can't really stress enough. You need the right tools for the job. So for the eyes, I obviously used a tiny little, it was a very small little brush. It's not even that one that's in the background there. It's even smaller than that. Just made it a lot easier. You got to cover the eyes with blue tack when you're about to paint the mask. Make sure you don't get the eyes, covered in paint. I don't know, maybe different people would paint the eyes last. Maybe I did them first just because that was the one thing that was I was dreading doing. So I'm mixing a tiny bit of this sand color into the white for the base coat of the mask. And oh my god, I just noticed my fingernail is dirty. That is disgusting. They're not usually like that, people. I was ripping up trees and doing gardening and all kinds of stuff, so it's not from being filthy, it's just from doing work around the house and the garden and stuff. So here we go, putting on the base coat, and on it goes like a dream. And probably thinned it out a little bit with water just to get it to go on there a little bit. Now I did use primer, like a primer spray, before I did any of this. I sprayed the head sculpt with primer and just left it for a day, and I still needed the hair to be delivered, so I wasn't going to rush into this. I wanted to make sure I had everything I needed. Now as I'm putting on this coat of paint, I really overdo it with the brushing, because I want the brush bristles to get into all the little cracks and wrinkles on the 2018 mask here. I don't want any paint to kind of set into those wrinkles and fill that, otherwise you won't see the detail when I do a black wash later. So you'll notice he's really going for it here with the brush, but that's just literally so that none of the paint kind of sits into those little crevices and cracks. I want it to all be just a nice flush coat of paint. You have to do a couple of layers of this. I think I maybe did about two and a half layers sort of thing. Just starting to get there now. You can still see all the detail of the sculpt and all the little cracks and wrinkles. And then I think I give it one more coat. And I kind of forgot about the back of the neck as well, so I had to actually go and paint that. It's an amazing sculpt. This is the version 2 2018 1/6 scale head sculpt by LEGIO7 workshop on Facebook. You can find a link to them underneath this video in the information section. You can click on that link and get in touch with them and see if you can get yourself one of these heads. They can paint and hair it for you, but with this one I chose to do it all myself. I just wanted to do it myself, because that's the thing about being a big geek about this particular movie, because you just, over the, about a year, it took about a year to finally sort of just be able to memorize kind of where certain marks and discolorations are on the mask. So I know it really well now. I think this was the last coat. So obviously the blue tack there is now white tack, because paint got all over the blue tack that's covering his eyes, but that's a good thing. Now with just a dry brush, I'm just going over everything, just making sure again that no paint is sitting into any of these cracks and crevices. Just want to make sure that everything is right. No weird chunky buildups of paint anywhere. Just get in with a dry brush and give it a good old see into, and just make sure all the detail is still visible, which it certainly is. I mean, it's a great sculpt. Now I'm getting ready to do the black wash. Now I ain't gonna lie to you, this went very wrong, and that's another reason why I really wanted to make sure I did a commentary to this video. I definitely should have made it more watery. The black wash here, I didn't want it to be just jet black, so I wanted it to be more of a dark grey wash. So I get some white here and mix it into the black and create kind of a more, still very dark, but just more of a dark grey than a black. Black I thought might be a little bit too much, a little bit too in your face, and plus I can always go back with my very fine tip brush later on and just, fine tune things later. This is really just the black wash to get the details to show up on that white mask. So I didn't add nearly enough water. I'm adding water here, but just not enough. And I literally, you see me now start to paint the head sculpt with the black wash here, and yeah, it just stuck to the face instantly. I couldn't wipe it away because I didn't make it watery enough. You really need it to be like, I don't know, like 70-75% water. So that's certainly not the case here. I mean, it looked pretty watery. You can see it drip down the white bowl there. Anyway, here it goes. It's going on nice. Getting it on there, sped up the footage because you don't want to be here all day. But then when I went to wipe it away, I quickly realized that, I've just spent like half an hour making this, getting the white base coat right on the mask, and I had to literally scrape it away now with this sponge with the kind of rough surface. Which actually, now this is the thing, it was a mistake, and I definitely, should have added more water to the black wash. But once I started to scrape away the paint on the surface of the mask here, it left it behind in all the cracks and crevices, and it just turned out incredible. So, I mean, as scared as I was when I realized this, it did have a cool effect. I want to make sure I get it off the cheekbones, off the chin, off most of the forehead, off the nose, and leave it behind in all the places it's meant to be. Now, if you're going to be doing this yourself, obviously just study the hell out of those reference pictures. Try and find some of the pictures from the events where the actual screen use masks are on display sometimes. That's what I used for this, but that came out great. Took a good while to get all that excess black wash off the areas where I didn't want it to be, but it really did highlight the detail of the sculpt. It's an amazing sculpt, it really is. Still love the version 1. I have that too. And, there's things about this, it's not perfect. I haven't seen any perfect ones yet. The chin on this could be a little bit more sort of stumpy looking. It's a little bit pointed when you look at the real thing. And maybe the eye holes are a touch too big, but it's still one of the very best 2018 sculpts I've seen to date. Very, very nice. Now, I'm going to go in with some white paint. These particular areas I'm concentrating on because I've got the reworked Trick or Treat Studios 2018 mask, done by an amazing artist in Germany named Mike. I'm able to sort of look at that, and when all else fails for reference, I can look at that and just copy what I'm seeing in front of me. And these particular areas, the chin, the cheekbones, some of the forehead, the nose bridge, are very still very white. So just wanted to make sure I got in all these little areas here and just make sure that that white cuts through, because it really does look good. I always kind of think of the moment in the film when he first gets his mask back and it's daylight, and he pops the trunk and takes it out and then puts the mask on, closes the trunk, and we get that view from inside the car looking out at him in the daylight. And it's that's a really good shot. I love the way the mask looks in that particular shot. I'm pretty sure that's what my life-size mask paint job is based on as well, which is amazing. But there it is. And so the painting part, as scary as the overdoing it with the black wash at first thing was, it turned out incredible in the end. I go in and keep forgetting about the back of his neck because that's where I'm holding it. And I don't have like a workstation or a vise to put this in or whatever it is people do. So I had to just use a big blob of blue tack just to put on top of my little freezer here. And now I'm doing just a light kind of brown wash in certain areas where the rotting would start to show the age. That nose, underneath the nose there, the lips, right around the kind of eyelids and the corners of the eyelids. Just getting in there. Sorry, the angle's not very good. It's just I wanted to try and film as much of the whole process as possible. But I also wanted to obviously concentrate and not be too distracted. So every now and then I think, right, I'll film this little bit here and then move on and do some more. So I actually really enjoyed this part. And that's that tiny brush I'm talking about. That's from... I had to go out specially to the art shop locally to me and go get a brush like this. I'm glad I did, because it certainly made things a lot easier. You really do need the right tools for the job. It just makes things a lot less stressful. And now, still working on... what am I doing here? The kind of temple area. Yeah, just getting a bit of discoloration in here as well. This is all just a bit of trial and error, really. But once I got the hang of things and, took a tea break, it was not too bad. Still a lot of areas here that I will work on. Obviously, well, I've done them now. It's all finished now, but at this point there was a lot. Obviously the neck, I haven't been concentrating on that too much. I've mainly just been trying to get the face looking right. But hairing the figure was, it's never fun to do that kind of thing. I have haired a few figures in the past. I totally redid the hair on the NECA 18-inch Rob Zombie Myers figure. That sculpted hair just can't, it comes off very easily, and I used super sculpty clay to sort of form the back shape of his head on which to glue the hair onto. I used hair from a werewolf full head mask. It was just like brown werewolf hair, and that was actually really good. I still have that werewolf mask, so I may use that hair for the redo that I intend to do on the 2018 NECA quarter scale Myers, because I want to repaint that mask and take the plastic hair off and give him real hair. I just don't think this mohair that I use on this head sculpt here, it's like Tibetan mohair, I think that's what you call it. It's a bit too thin for quarter scale, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, but just getting that discoloration happening. Oh, now I'm removing the blue tack from the eyes because we're ready to get on with the hair now. Now I still have to go in, I don't think I should show it in the video, but I want to obviously have a lot more discoloration work to do. There's some greens and yellows and stuff that haven't even been applied yet. The bottom of the neck needs a lot more work as far as paint goes. But just concentrating on the face. And the eye, the good eye, I did blackwash that later a few times and definitely toned down the obviousness of the eyes inside the mask. So here it's just raw from when I just painted those eyes. But later on I did do a couple of black washes, a couple of brown washes too, just on the eyes, just to dull them back a bit, and it did really work. It was very effective. Now here's my technique, just to get my head sculpt to sit still when I'm gluing the hair on. And I can change the shape of it and get it leaning forwards, backwards, whatever needs to happen. I'm doing this video all in one take as far as this commentary goes, guys, so I won't be doing a second take, so you'll have to forgive me when I pause for a little hit of the old H2O. Oh, I always make the mistake of having sparkling water when I'm filming, which is never a good idea. Obvious reasons. It makes you want to burp. Now here's the mohair. Tibetan mohair found on eBay. Found a lady in America. I think her name was, oh damn it, was it Dallas or something? I'll try and look into that. Anyway, found it on eBay. It's easy to find. You just literally go on eBay and type in Tibetan mohair, and you're gonna see this kind of thing. I had to buy it as a bulk like this. It wasn't expensive. It was very reasonable, like $13. And you got light brown, sort of auburn, dark brown, white, red, blonde, I think as well, like everything you need. But I mean, I did use a lot of it. Now, one thing I have to say, and I don't think I actually filmed too much of that here, because this was you have to really concentrate. There's nothing worse than trying to work with glue and hair. Think about that for a minute. Glue and hair. It's messy, it's horrible, it's frustrating. But the more you do it, the more you get used to it. And I actually didn't have too much trouble this time round. I think it was maybe my third time, hairing something like this. But what you need to do, see the way I'm holding it there, the bit I'm about to glue, it's weird, but you really kind of need to, and I've seen other people do this since, but I kind of discovered it myself and then saw other people doing it. It's gross, but you kind of have to just kind of lick the end. Water doesn't work. I tried dipping the end into a little bowl of water and it just doesn't have any effect on the hair, so you kind of have to, you need a little bit of saliva just to get it to kind of form a shape that's going to be easy to pin down on something. You don't want it to be all fluffy and spraying out to the sides when you're trying to glue it down to a surface, because that's not going to work. You need to kind of use a little bit of saliva and just get the ends of the hair that you're about to glue down to just kind of form a shape that's going to connect better. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, trimming the ends here to get a nice flat surface. I did lick the end, then I just didn't film it. I didn't want to film myself licking Tibetan mohair. It was disgusting. Oh god, I felt like a cat with a fur ball trapped in my throat. Trust me, I mean, the amount of time this took. And when I thought I was finished, turned out I was nowhere near finished. I thought there was plenty of hair on the sculpt. I kept telling myself, better to have more hair on the head than less hair, because, you know, if there's a lot of hair on the sculpt, you can use product, gel, mousse, spray, whatever to get it to lay more flat. But when you haven't got enough hair on the sculpt, it looks ridiculous. And anyway, so by the time I thought I was finished here, I had to go back and add about, God, a lot of hair. Almost probably the same amount I did the first time around, but just lifting up the hair and putting it underneath, and just trying to fill the head with hair as much as possible. You really have to add a lot of hair to this sculpt in order to do any Michael Myers sculpt, I'm sure. But I just found that when I thought I had applied the adequate amount of hair, turned out it was nowhere near. I'd only done about maybe 40% of the hair that was required to get it to look right. So back to the drawing board I went, but this was the original run, me just getting the hair. So right, you want to start with the baseline of the neck. I think I've seen other people do that too. So you want to start with the neckline at the back, close to the shoulders. Start at the bottom and just work your way up until you get to close to the forehead line, you know, the hairline at the front of the top of the forehead. But there's a little technique I did in order to get a certain effect, which I'll show once that bit comes up. Just getting on with gluing that hair down. I mean, you get used to it. The first time you try and do this, it is very stressful and messy, but like I said, it's about my third time trying something like this now. My fingers are all gross. Alright, and where are we now? I think I'm just going to try and get more hair onto the temples, the sides of the head. Can't forget about that. You really got to get in there and just layer it up. And this was that one went on nicely. Sometimes it goes on nice and smooth. I don't know if the primer that I sprayed helps with that. As far as which primer I used, it's way off in the shed right now, and I have no way of getting to it. I ain't going in there at night. Spiders, man. Forget about it. Just giving the hair a cut now. But as far as the primer, it's like a clear coat, non-shiny, just any old generic primer, really. I just found it on Amazon, and it was like £9 or something. But it's a very common make. I can't remember the name, folks, but it's just a standard. Just a standard primer. We're getting close to the front of the head now. And I was looking at that and thinking, yeah, surely that's enough hair. That's plenty of hair as far as I'd made it, you know, closer to the top of the head there. But I thought that was more than enough. That was nowhere in. I know you're thinking, how can that not be enough hair? It just wasn't. It was not right. It looked really weird, especially, you know, because obviously, you know, you don't want it to look like that, so you have to wet it when it's done and then use product in it to style it. But it was just not enough hair. Now here's the technique that I was using at the front here. Now you've seen at the front where his hairline would start, there's like this kind of ridge that kind of comes up, it kind of raises up there, and that's what I'm doing. I've kind of putting the hair on backwards here, as in I'm gluing it against the ridge, and then I'm going to sweep it back over itself to create that shape of the hair that it would naturally have. If you kept gluing the hair in the direction that I have been, notice how the back of the head there coming up, all the hair's going backwards. If I had have glued in the very front hairline in that same direction, it would just look weird. I guess if you added enough hair there and really layered it in and just stuffed it in, all going backwards, then it'll probably look fine. But I just thought to myself, you know what, maybe that ridge is there at the front for a reason. Maybe you're supposed to glue the hair to the side of that ridge and then push it over itself in order to get a natural looking kind of sweep back look. So that's what I did. I really can't recall if I've seen other people doing that. It could be a subconscious thing where maybe I saw it somewhere and remembered it, stored it in my brain, but it just made sense to me when I looked at the ridge. I thought, you know what, I'm going to stick the hair at the front. The very front layer of hair is going to go up against that ridge and then sweep back over itself. And that's how I did it. And that looks hilarious. He reminded me of, fix his name. No, I was going to say RuPaul. It's someone completely different, isn't it? The guy who was around in the 90s, he was in Biodome and that caveman movie where Brendan Fraser was a caveman and he came back, woke up in the 90s. Whatever that dude's name was, he used to say he was the Weasel, whatever. Yeah, man, look at that hair, it's crazy. I did use 2 different shades of brown. You'll notice here I used the light brown and a slightly darker brown in places, but you definitely want to go with this kind of shade of brown, because in the 2018 film, you know, it was just in the harsh light of day, it was actually quite a light brown. But I don't know, could be filters in the film, or I've seen a fair bit of footage. However, when it's on display at events, the mask, it does look quite dark brown. Who knows? But anyway, that was my first attempt. I thought I was done here, although I was a little bit suspicious. I was looking at it thinking, yeah, I don't know, by the time I put the gel in there, it's probably not going to look right. And you can see near the front of the head there's just not enough hair. So I had to go back and, you know, add in a lot more. How are we doing now? We've got about 4 minutes left. I just want to think if there's anything else important that I need to mention. Just to summarize, yeah, this is once I've added a lot more hair. You can see, especially in the middle at the front, there's a big clump of new hair there just to give it some volume and fill it out a bit. But the mask, man, I've got to say, man, I did a good job on the mask. I can't believe I did that. I mean, I was confident. I knew I could get it done, but I didn't think it would turn out this good. And now you're going to get some footage of the almost finished product. Still haven't done the neckline discoloration. There's still there's a fair bit of discoloration to do on the mask in general, but I didn't want to do it all in one night. You know that thing where you go a little bit too far and then you regret something. I was really, really happy with how it looks here, so I left it alone. I thought, you know what, just get the hair fixed and back up off it and just give it a day and let it sink in. So just to summarize, get the right tools for the job. Make sure you got very, very, very small fine tip brushes for the fine detail stuff. Painting the eyes is scary if you've never done it before, but it is possible, and I actually got it done first time. It was scary, but I got it done. I'm very happy with that. Tibetan mohair on eBay, that's what you need. Make sure you spray the mask first with a primer before you paint anything, and it will just make the paint go on better. And if you can help it, maybe have a bit of Tool playing in the background. That certainly helped me. I had Descending and Invincible pretty much on loop the whole time I was doing this, and it did inspire me, kept me going. Awesome stuff. Yeah. What else? Well, just massive shout out to LEGIO7 Workshop. Obviously, that's where I went and got my mask from. And definitely check them out. Link underneath the video. And I hope you have found this video somewhat useful, or maybe inspiring if you're intending to get a sculpt yourself and paint it and hair it. It's possible. I mean, I think everyone, well, maybe not everyone, but most people, if they put their minds to it, and if they're really inspired to do it, maybe you can get this done. Because I know Seb out there in France, he wants to paint his Mad Bug sculpt, and he's a little bit hesitant, but I know he can get that done. He'd get it done. All right. I hope that has been helpful to you guys. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, check me out on Facebook and Instagram at DeanKnight333, and yeah, let me know what you think of this clip. Leave your comments below. Thanks for everyone who has been, you know, just supporting the channel, just in the form of, you know, hitting the like button and leaving me comments. I love reading my comments and all my messages on Instagram and Facebook. It's great to have an awesome community of people out there, and I'm just trying to entertain you guys and give you some cool stuff to watch, especially the Myers fans. The recent review on the Laurie Strode figure, thank you to everyone who you know, liked that video. I remember I mentioned near the beginning something about the algorithm and how I heard about how you kind of got to like the videos for them to get seen by anyone, but you guys really came through on that one. I actually got over 100 likes on the Laurie Strode NECA review, so thank you every one of you guys out there. Noticed and thought that was really cool of you guys to, you know, back me up. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you to all the patrons whose names are going up here at the end. God bless every one of y'all, and I will see you soon. Keep it real, keep it funky, and yeah, I'm just gonna let the credits roll. Let them roll. Sing your song. Toys of Arkham. I love that name. He's got a great Instagram account, Toys of Arkham. Check him out. Same name. Whit Reese, my boy. All right, I'm out.